So today we're going to be checking out Gazada Ambassador Intense. So this is a 2022 release that caught a little bit of hype. This one recently showed up on a couple discounters for a really good price below the retail asking price point. It's been selling like crazy. I actually sent out an email and a text about it when it hit, and people have been buying it up. So I figured I would go ahead and give this one some full coverage here on the channel. I'm going to walk you through this one, tell you how it smells, how it performs, the overall quality of it, and what it's a clone of. Because yes, this is kind of a clone or inspired by scent. We'll dive into that. So let's get things kicked off with how this smells and what it's a clone of. It's very similar to that of Dior Sauvage Elixir. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but the bottle has a similar shape. Yeah, there are differences, of course, the color of it, some of the texturing, but this is just kind of a similar silhouette, I guess you could say, to Sauvage Elixir. But taking it one step further, the scent itself is very close to Sauvage Elixir. So what does that mean? That means when you spray this one, you get a ton of warm, spicy notes. Nutmeg, cinnamon, licorice, pink pepper, all of these things. You get hit with all that stuff immediately, and that's how it is with Sauvage Elixir when you first open that one up. And one thing you'll find with this type of scent is that it has a much more mature and kind of maybe slightly old school delivery. This might not be what you're used to smelling in terms of new releases these days. Yeah, this is a little bit more of a throwback feel. But I think that's part of the reason why Sauvage Elixir has done so well. You know, it kind of steps away from the usual kind of blueprint of Sauvage and other blue scents and other more trendy modern fragrances in general, right? It kind of steps away from that and goes back towards a little bit more of a classic style, but with a modern twist. That's kind of Sauvage Elixir in a nutshell, and this one follows a very, very similar path. Warm spices, woods, sandalwood, cedar wood as well, has a little bit of a kind of a sweetness to it just in the base, but it's not overly sweet like a lot of new men's designer releases. So I find that it kind of strikes a balance. There's even a little bit of a freshness as well from the aromatics, like the lavender. There's a lot going on in this one to kind of balance things out and be appealing to a lot of people. And so we'll take a look at the full note breakdown, and there is a lot to unpack. And this is actually one of the larger note breakdowns I've seen. Like, this is Roja Parfums level. Generally their stuff has a lot of notes. Let's just dive right in. We've got cardamom, licorice, nutmeg, lavender, pink pepper, incense, ginger, mandarin orange, elemi, bergamot, and ozonic notes up top. In the mid, we have raspberry, caramel, cinnamon, cloves, geranium, jasmine, heliotrope, orchid, and freesia. In the mid, in the base, we have tonka, vanilla, patchouli, cashmere wood, musk, leather, amber, vetiver, oak moss, and labdanum. That is crazy. Okay, so let's unpack this here. I already talked about the warm spices, the nutmeg, the pink pepper, right? All of that stuff, the cinnamon. A couple that I left out would have been the cardamom, right? For sure, you pick up on that. What else? We've got some cloves in here, which kind of give off a little bit of a similar, slightly spicy, slightly earthy type of smell. In terms of the kind of freshness, you're getting the lavender, the ozonic notes. You get some incense in here, kind of amping up that sweetness and giving it a little bit of a smoky feel. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to cover. That sweetness I was referencing, get a little bit of that from the tonka, vanilla, amber in the base. But ultimately, this is still following a Sauvage Elixir DNA. This one's coming in as an eau de parfum, and it's very strong, okay? Sauvage Elixir also is a performance beast, and this one is no joke. I mean, if you're looking for performance, if that is something that you prioritize, then you could go for something like this. You're gonna be getting well around that 10-hour mark in terms of longevity, and projection I do find to be pretty strong as well. But not even just projection, also its scent trail. So performance checks out. It is incredibly strong. Okay, now let's dive into a couple things here. First of which, how does this compare to Sauvage Elixir? Yes, it's a clone of Elixir. I've talked about that already. What about the differences between the two? Well, when you spray this one on, like I said, you get hit with the notes that I've covered already. What's the difference? Well, the cloves, that's different. It's a very specific, unique texture that you can pick up on off the top when you first pull the trigger like that. You can smell it. It's interesting. The sweetness as you kind of start to settle down, the tonka, the vanilla, the amber, that kind of base note package there, even some patchouli, is not something that is nearly as noticeable in Sauvage Elixir. Sauvage Elixir is pretty much sandalwood and all of the warm spices from opening to dry down, and that is the big extent of it. Yes, there are some variances, but with this one, I do find that they're actually adding in some supplemental notes that Sauvage Elixir does not have, which kind of adds to the whole thing where, is it redundant if you already have Sauvage Elixir? Maybe not necessarily, because while this is still very close, they're adding in some things and they're moving some things around to where it's not 100% redundant. And so there's that, right? There's that coverage. There's the difference between the two. The opening, you can kind of tell that something is different, right? If you were smelling them side by side blindfolded, I do think a lot of you guys who have had, experience with Sauvage Elixir would be able to tell them apart. Most people on the street, probably not. And so the other question is going to be, well, what about Lattafa Assad, which was, I believe, to be one of the first Sauvage Elixir fragrances or fragrance clones to really get hype. Whether it was the first one to be released, I don't know, but it was the first one to really take off. That one has a price point of about $25. So what's the difference between that compared to this? Well, it's going to come down to one, the scent. Lattafa Assad is not really trying to do anything new. They're trying to go straight after Sauvage Elixir. They're not making any changes. It's more of a one-to-one clone. This one, again, they're changing some things up. But also quality, right? That's something that can't be ignored. When you take a look at the price differences between the two, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much quality that you can pack into something when you're offering it at a super low price. This one is more expensive. It's, going to be, depending on if you get 100 or 50 ml, 100 mils are going for, I want to say closer to $100, 50 mils, bit less than that, of course. So it depends. That still does make this one come in at about half the price of Sauvage Elixir. It's now offered in a 100 mil and it's, closer to $200 retail for 100 mil, actually a little bit over. The 60 ml comes in for somewhere around 185, something like that. So still a big difference in price point. The price per mil is significantly lower on this one even still. Yes, this might sound expensive for a clone, but remember, Sauvage Elixir itself is a pretty penny. And if Assad maybe didn't cut it for you in terms of that quality, it didn't deliver the same type of way, this is a big step up in my opinion. But again, you have to be okay with the fact that this one does make a little tweak on the scent DNA as well. And again, I've got to say this stuff is so strong. I've done multiple sprays up in the air, kind of breaking this one down as we were filming, as you have seen, and it is so strong it's giving me a headache. So yeah, this is no joke. It's very strong. When you spray it on skin, you're not going to need a ton of it. A little bit will go a long way. So ultimately, this is going to be for the people who want a premium version of Sauvage Elixir with a twist. Simplest way to put it. I'll drop a link to this one down below for you. Again, it got a surprising amount of interest. And so I figured, yep, let's get this video out there for the upcoming fall and winter time. This is going to be the perfect time of year to scoop this one up and wear it. And again, my mailing list and texting list got first dibs when this one came into stock. There was 50 mils, 100 mils. The 50 sold out by this point, but you can still grab the 100 mils for a great price below retail. And like I said, if you want to be first dibs on all of these great deals coming up, new designer fragrances hitting discounters, stuff like this popping up below retail out of nowhere, rare stuff like Dior Homme Parfum, La Nuit Bleu Electrique, Luminous Night, or just dirt cheap prices like Mancera 120 mls for 58 bucks. Crazy. We're talking mid-range designer price for full-size Manceras, the popular ones like Cedrat Boisé. All of that stuff and more, get on the list down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.